Okay, so welcome to video number 2. Technically video number 1, but it's all right. So we're getting started. So before we actually start learning how to write C code, we're gonna want to set up our environment, right? So in this tutorial, I'll be using Linux as my OS of choice, but you can really follow along in pretty much anything: Mac OS, Windows, Linux, whatever. So and you can use whatever editor you want. Just make sure that you have GCC installed, right? Because that's what we're going to be using as our compiler for this. And later on, you might need to have GDB installed, which is our debugger. But for now, just have a text editor and GCC installed. So if you're running Linux, I would recommend Helix. It's very useful and it has pretty good out-of-the-box LSP support. But if you would need to know how to use a modal text editor, and if you haven't used Vim or something like that before, it can get a little complicated. If you are new to this, you could try VS Code or even Nano. Honestly, just use whatever, it's your choice, right? So yeah, let me just jump into a really simple C program which does nothing, honestly. You can just look at the structure and I'll show you how to compile a program. Yeah, so this is my main.c. So yeah, honestly, I'll probably share these C files that I use to teach. They have a bunch of useful comments that might prove to be handy later. So as you can see, this is how we add a comment in C. That's 2 slashes. And this is a multi-line comment. So basically everything between this /* and this /* is a comment. So comments are lines that the compiler does not read at all, right? So as we can see, we've defined a function called main here, which returns the type int, therefore int main. And in this case, it's not taking any parameters, and that's probably why the parentheses is empty. So in any C program, the main function is kind of where your execution starts, right? So everything sort of starts from here, and you usually call other functions from within this, right? So in this case, our main function really doesn't do much. So all it does is return 0. So in this case, the 0 basically indicates that the program sort of successfully terminated. So that's kind of a convention thing. So usually if you get 0, then it's good. And any other number can be used as an error code. So -1 is a very common error code. And yeah, that's kind of all there is to it. So I'll just show you how you would compile this. So you'll use GCC, then your C file, and then -o, which is for output. And you can just say, I'll name it like a test or demo. Yeah, we can see that it compiled our C program into a binary called demo. So let's take a look at demo. I mean, we can't read any of it, but as you can see, it is in binary, and none of it is very readable to the human eye. I mean, we could there are ways to do it, but I'm not gonna get into it. Okay, maybe later. So so what do I do with this binary, right? I mean, we have it, but if I were to run it, nothing happens, right? So what we will learn further on in this series is that we can actually add stuff to our main function to add additional sort of effects to our program, right? So instead of just returning 0, we can make it do a bunch of stuff between here and here. And we can, instead of having something that does nothing, we could sort of have something that is useful to us, right? So I will start things off slowly. So we will first begin by printing stuff and all that. But the goal of this video is to basically ensure that you have a working setup, so you know how most things work, right? So you need to know how to compile a program, and you need to know how to run a binary, right? Like this. So another note, right, for Linux and Mac OS users, it should be pretty easy. So if you're running something like Ubuntu or something, you'd want to run something like this, but pretty much any Linux distribution will have GCC installed out of the box. I think Mac OS, you can use Brew if it isn't already present for you guys. On Windows, it's a little tricky. So you might have to install something called MinGW. Honestly, I have not used it. I would recommend using the Windows subsystem for Linux, which is WSL. That should be pretty easy to install, and it gives you a Linux environment to sort of work in, and you can just sort of follow me, step for step. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions, just let me know. Thank you.